Watching TV has changed over time. Streaming has become the new norm. That's why Golden State Media Concepts television podcast dives headfirst to the world of cord cutting. Want to be on the loop of what's hot in Netflix? Or if it's not a preference, what about original shows in Hulu? We've got you covered. Join us as we fill in the blank and talk about movies to stream and what show you should be binging. This is the Golden State Media Concepts television podcast.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC television podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jennifer, and this week we have special animes to talk about. As you all know, an anime is a Japanese cartoon based around a manga story that is written by a talented writer and artist, because like comic books, manga have beautiful pictures that are accompanied with the storyline. The first anime that we're going to talk about is called The Promised Neverland. And it is a Japanese manga series written by Kaiyu Shirai and illustrated by Pasuka Demaizu. The series is basically centered around a bunch of orphans who are raised by a nun, and their realization, at first they thought that their lives were beautiful and perfect because eventually they would get adopted. But later they find out that they're basically living on a farm where they are raised and brought up by the nun to be later sacrificed to demons as food. And that is not good for the children. I mean, they're just 11 years old is the oldest one. Her name is Emma. And they're living in a farm called Gracefield House, a self-contained orphanage housing her and 37 other orphans. They lead an idyllic life, as I said before, with plentiful food, plush beds, clean clothes, games, and the love of their mom, Isabel, who's like the nun that I talked about. Their education is seen as an important part of their development, and Emma, with her two best friends, Norman and Ray, always excel in the regular exams. So, in other words, they have tests. Basically, the demons believe if they make high scores, then they're ready to be eaten. Like, smarter children make for better food. The orphans are allowed complete freedom. Well, when I say freedom, they mean like in the yard, but they can't leave the area. Except to venture beyond the perimeter, see? Wall or gate, which separate the house from the outside world. One night, Connie is sent away to be adopted, but Emma and Norman follow with her favorite stuffed animal toy. In other words, she left it behind and, well, they want to make sure she has it because she was already feeling a little bit sad about leaving the others. At the gate, they find Connie dead and discover the truth about their existence in the idyllical orphanage. In other words, to be raised as meat for demons, like I said before. Emma and Norman plan with Ray to escape from Gracefield House with the children, but Norman is taken off to be adopted. Emma and Ray then decide to escape with some of their older siblings, leaving the younger children behind, because they can't really, leave with some of the other ones, because some of them are even babies. And so that is basically what season 1 was all about, and you can find season 1 on Netflix. It's a really good season. You get to see the development of the children and how they all realize that if they don't escape, then they're all going to be basically like food for demons for the rest of their lives, even if they're living peacefully until they're ready to be adopted. Luckily for some of the students, they have the opportunity to become moms, like the nun that I was talking about. Basically, if they're female, they can like be the next generation's adopted mother to look after them until they're ready to be eaten. Like Emma could have been one of those select few, but that's just not an ideal life. Instead, they want to escape. It was pretty interesting series. I really liked the first season. And now, the second season opens with the children running for their lives from a demon monster. This, of course, is not good. I mean, they tried their hardest in last season just to escape, and now they're running from a demon monster? Ugh. It doesn't seem like the ideal life to escape to. Then the title sequence begins, and after it is over, we basically see what happened to the children before the monster started to attack. I figured that out while watching the rest of the episode. Anyway, so the children are basically getting the lay of the land. They decide to take a break using their compass and just try to eat and ration their food and see that they only have so much. They gotta make it last. Then they take a look at the pin that Norman had left them. The pin has the initials WM, standing for William Minerva, who is this character in the series who created the books and is basically the place where they're trying to get to. They think that he can help them survive in the world because he wrote all these different books, and he seems to be like an ally. Maybe even a human in this world that's filled with demons and stuff. Their plan is to find him, and then they go back to the other farms and liberate the other children. But that's easier said than done. They need to really figure out where they're going. First, they need to find out where they are. Luckily, the pin shows them their location, and it also shows them a map. So it's really very helpful. They also were smart enough to bring some of the books from their library with them. And with one of the books, they found out the password, and it's human. So it's really more of a holographic map / passcode kind of information pen. It's really useful. Either way, once they spelled out the password, it showed them a holographic image which read, "If you need my help, come to visit me. I am at point B0632. William Minerva." So, this tells them where they're going, which is helpful. And they've got a map, and it's just basically good to have them know where they're going. And they've got food and water, and they also found some sea anemones that are filled with water so they don't have to go to any lake. Now that the children are all prepared, they head southeast. But they know that they're being pursued, and we get to see what creatures are pursuing them. It's like this really scary looking demon with a big long knife and some other demons that can smell them. So they start being pursued, and then we come back to the part where we were at the beginning of the episode with them being chased by this monster. So the older kids, Emma and Ray, figure out that the best way to get rid of the monster is to make it fall into like this pit trap that was featured in the book. And Ray says for the other kids to go and kind of run the other way while he gets rid of the monster. And he's about to try and unleash their plan when the demons that were chasing after them catch up and destroy the monster. And so now Ray's basically trying to lead them away while Emma and the other kids try to just keep going southeast. Then Emma kind of faints because of her wound. See, while they were escaping, she lost her ear and the wound just opened up again. And now the children don't know what to do because the fact that their leader one of them's gone and the other one just fainted. And then, out of nowhere, here comes this little girl who's hooded, and she's like, "Follow me. I know where you can be safe." So, basically, that was weird. Should they trust this little girl? They don't know. But frankly, they don't really have much of a choice. Emma's out cold, and Ray's, well, trying to lead away the pursuers. The other children, since they separated from Ray, didn't even know that their pursuers from the farm had basically followed them there. So, they don't know what's going on. And now, Ray is, well, he's using his own smarts to drive the demons away. He actually told them that everybody else was dead and he's the only one left. And they chased after him, but then he tripped and he was about to be captured when all of a sudden this other person kind of grabs him and runs off on this, well, it looks like a demon horse. And then we have Ray wake up and finds Emma and everybody else in this area. And that's, well, where the episode kind of ends with another shocker reveal, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to let you kind of find out for yourself. And that's basically what the episode's about. Showing that the children may have escaped the farm, but they only escaped into an even harsher real world. I mean, they don't have that much food or water. They don't exactly know where they're going. I mean, luckily they have a compass, so they can find out which way to go. And they've got the pen, which is useful with the map and everything. But still, they're only children. I mean, the oldest among them is Emma and Ray, and that's 11 years old. Can you imagine children that are younger than 11 running for their lives from demons and monsters alike? It just seems like they aren't going to survive this whole series. Which is one of the things I like about this series. You don't know how they're going to win. Usually an anime is about people who are much older than that. Not very much older sometimes. Sometimes the main anime character can look like they're in their 20s, but they're only 14 or so. That's how they are drawn, so it's kind of hard to see. But this is a good series. It's got great animation, great characters, and I like it a lot. I recommend it highly. I just hope that the children are okay. I mean, the thought of sacrificing children to demons as food is just sick and wrong. It's basically like what we do for pigs and cows for our own sakes, but this is worse because this is humans. And I just can't imagine being able to go through with this. So I'm just hoping that everything turns out okay. I don't know how everything's going to turn out okay because a lot of these children are just scared little kids. But I know that Emma and Ray are brave enough to pursue and just be the leaders that the other kids need. And they're not going to abandon each other. They've got great loyalty. And that's something that we all could learn from. Children are innocent sometimes, and they also are gullible. But these children are smart. They are able to escape in the first season. And in this season, well, basically they just need to survive long enough to find William Minerva. And I hope that this person is nice to them and shows them that this world is not all scary. There are good people out there. And that would be nice for the real world. A lesson in the real world where people just help each other out. Even in dastardly circumstances, if we could have everybody work together, that would be very nice. Either way, that is basically what this series is all about, and I give it if I were to rank it, I'd give it 5 stars because it's that good of a series. It's enticing, interesting, and it's just one of those series that just keeps you on your toes. I mean, I was worried for all the children as I was watching this episode. Which is understandable. I mean, they're just kids, and they're being pursued by demons and monsters alike, and it's just wrong. I just hope that the next episode shows them having a bit more good luck rather than bad luck. But so far, all we've gotten is bad luck for the kids. I mean, they're still together, and none of them have been eaten or dead. It's one of those series that you don't know if any of them are going to survive. But that is what is going on in this particular series called Promised Neverland. And again, I highly recommend it. It comes on Toonami, which is on Cartoon Network. And it's a good show. So, that is our first anime. And it is about time for our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll be discussing another anime called Black Clover. This series is even better than Promised Neverland, in my opinion. It's all about these people with magic abilities, and they all fight for what is right and defend their kingdom with just hearts. And I really am excited to see what happens in the latest episode. Until then, I hope you all enjoy the commercials, and I will see you later. Bye!
Want to know the latest and hottest music hitting the airwaves? Don't be left out. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Music Podcast. Keith keeps you on the loop with everything you need to know from pop, rock, hip-hop, and the top 40. And we'll throw in news of your favorite artists, concert and tour dates, and so much more. Listen no further, because this is the gold standard in music podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Television Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer. Before the break, we were talking about The Promised Neverland. Now we are going to talk about another great anime called Black Clover. This series is based off the manga series that is written by Yuki Tabata and illustrated by Yuki Tabata. The story centered around Asta, a young boy seemingly born without any magic power, something that is unknown in the world he lives in. With his fellow mages from the Black Bulls, Asta plans to become the next Wizard King. Basically, the Wizard King is the ruler of the land, even though they still have a regular king. But the Wizard King is the most powerful wizard among them, and it's hard for Asta to really become the Wizard King if he doesn't really have any magic. But then later on he discovers he's got anti-magic, which is the ability to get rid of other magic using a sword that comes out of his grimoire. In this world, basically each wizard is given a grimoire, which is like a book that contains their magical spells. And there's also different knights that protect the kingdom. They are called wizard knights, and each one has their own little colony of their fellow wizards. Asta is part of the Black Bulls. And it's a really good series, and I like it a lot. Asta grew up as an orphan, and he's like basically was raised from birth after being abandoned at the doorstop of an orphanage in Hodge Village, along with his fellow orphan, Yuno. While everyone is born with the ability to utilize mana, which is basically magic in this world, Asta is the only exception. He tries to gain magical power through physical training, which other words, he basically trains himself through push-ups and endurance things, and he's really good at it. Conversely, Yuno was born as a prodigy with immense magical powers and the talent to control wind magic. Motivated by a desire to become the next Wizard King, an authority figure second to the king of Clover Kingdom, the two youths develop a friendly rivalry. Yuno obtains a legendary 4-leaf clover grimoire held by the kingdom's first Wizard King. Asta, despite his lack of magic, obtained the mysterious 5-leaf grimoire, which contains mysterious elf sword and a rare anti-magic. Afterwards, he and Yuno each join a magic knight squad as the first step to fulfilling their ambitions. Throughout the story, Asta and Yuno embark on various adventures as they make a name for themselves throughout the Clover Kingdom. That is basically the general plot of the series, and it's been going on for a while now. This is season 3, episode 43, and it's been a good series. I like all the characters. I like Asta, and I like Yuno, even though their competitive nature can be kind of foolish. But I think that they're a cute team. Anyway, in the last episode, we basically had a lot of these devil banishers because, well, season 2 basically commenced of the Clover Kingdom being under attack by their own key members being possessed by the spirits of these elves that have been wronged. And so the government, in order to kind of place the blame off of the people that really didn't have control of themselves, they put it on Asta and the rest of his, well, friends that really had the connection to the devil, which is why these people are called the devil banishers. They got misinformed that Marie, the younger sister of one of Asta's fellow magic knights, and Nero were basically just devil helpers in disguise, and they were willing to destroy them, and they also wanted to kill Asta, just so that everybody can have justice and stuff. And really, in all honesty, this kind of reminds me of what happened way back in Salem when they were wanting to kill the witches because they had worshipped the devil and stuff, and it's really not fun to watch this kind of play out. So I was glad when I saw that Asta and the rest of the Black Bulls and even other members of other Magic Knights were going to try and save Nero and Marie. And it looked like they were going to succeed because they had a constructed, well thought out plan, and they all were trying to trick the devil banishers. Like, Asta appeared to surrender because they said if Asta surrenders, then they'll let his comrades go. But it wasn't really Asta, it was another one of the Magic Bull members, and it was a trap. And then here comes Asta trying to remove the barrier so that they could get to Marie and Nero. But since these kidnappers also have powers, they used their powers to turn Nero and themselves and Marie invisible and kind of ran off. So Asta pursued them, and he said that, no, stop. I'm just going to surrender my grimoire, and you can just let the girls go free. But they lied. They basically handcuffed him, and they were going to kill all 3 of them there. And this is bad. But luckily for Asta, Yuno and 2 other members of his squad arrived and tried to stop the devil banishers. And, well, they were able to save Marie, which was good, but they got away with Nero and Asta's grimoire. And that's basically really what the episode was about. Seeing everyone try their hardest only to fail, and now they have even more of a leg up. Asta can't really perform that much magic without his grimoire. I mean, he has trained, and he's strong, and he never gives up, which is something that Yuno points out at the end. So he's still going to try and save Nero. But then we find out something even more interesting at the end of this episode, which I'm not going to reveal. And it's just like, they don't really have time for this. They're trying to get all ready to face this other devil inside of the other kingdom. See, the Clover Kingdom is only one kingdom. There's a Heart, Spade, and the Diamond Kingdom. Yeah, they're all named after card parts. That's kind of funny and interesting. And they make up basically the land that they're all in. And there's a devil in the Spade Kingdom, and they need to destroy it, but in order to do that, they need to get ready. But they're fighting amongst themselves instead of getting ready, and that just seems so stupid. I don't like this part at all. I mean, they're attacking this little girl named Marie, and she's very young, and she didn't really have control over herself when she showed that she was, like, to them a devil worshiper. No, she was just possessed like the other wizards. And frankly, I get why some of the people are angry. I mean, a lot of their family and loved ones died during last season's outright invasion, and they're just trying to get justice, as they call it. But if you ask me, their form of justice is more like a form of revenge, which is not really justice at all. It's more petty and just, no. And I just don't think that this is really how anybody should act. They should all come together and try to defend the country, not, well, really worship someone who's trying to kill a little girl. And Nero's also really young, and it just seems wrong. And I really like the anime. I hope that in the next episode we find out that Nero is saved and Asta gets his grimoire back, but until then, we don't really know. I really like this series. I like how they fight for what is right, and a lot of the characters have their own different abilities, like the way that they tricked the devil banishers was one of them had the ability to change into Asta's form. Another one was able to create portals, and he was trying to grab Marie and Nero, but he didn't get to because these jerks have the ability to bring up barriers, and they also shot these light beams. Some of them can control fire and lightning, and that's really cool. Yuno has these really awesome wind powers, and he also has this little adorable fairy spirit that kind of is like his companion, and she's really cute. I like her character. Other members of the wizards can basically use powers to heal. One character is like a witch, and she's got the ability to change fate, and they basically kind of lured her away to try and make it so that she couldn't interfere with her fate ability. And when they told her that they were done, they kind of took their own lives with fire, and I was like, wow, that seems kind of over dramatic. But yeah, that was done, and I just, that basically is what happened in the episode. And I just don't really like how all this is portraying between Asta when he didn't really even do anything. He is accused of being a devil assistant when really he's the one who defeated the other devil, and he's got a devil living inside of him basically to kind of help him with his magic. But this devil isn't evil in my opinion, and now everybody's treating him like an outcast. Everybody's doesn't need to do this. This is all because he was accused of being the real reason why everything went bad, when it wasn't even his devil that was pulling the strings of the battle in the second season. It's just not fair. He's doing everything he can to protect the kingdom and its citizens, while all they seem to do is just accuse and manipulate and try to hurt him and his friends. This isn't fair. And how is he even going to become the Wizard King if everybody sees him as a devil, all because he was accused of being the main reason why so many people had to die, when in reality, he didn't do a thing? So basically, that is what we're having to focus on. That is what we're seeing. And, well, we also get to really learn about the other characters in the series. Like, Yami is Asta's main captain. See, each Magic Knight franchise has their captains, and I really like Yami. His voice actor is from another anime I really like. He's from One Piece, so I've heard him before, and I just really like the series. But at this point, I'm thinking, why can't everybody just realize that if they had told the citizens the truth, that Asta had saved them, not cursed them, then maybe none of this would have happened in the first place. This conspiracy is the only reason why everything is gone crazy and bad for the characters. So, that is basically the problems that are in this situation. And you know what? This makes me think about other stuff that's happening in our real world today. When we have a conspiracy that makes everybody turn against each other, all that results is people getting hurt, dying, property damage, and other stuff that we really didn't need if the truth came out. The truth will set you free, and yet everybody gets fed these suit of lies from the leaders that they are supposed to be able to trust. It's just not fair. So, my prediction is in the next episode, they will find Nero and Asta's grimoire and defeat these people. And they also need to show the other people in the county that this is not what is going on. Asta is not someone to be feared. He's someone who's trying to defend them from the true devil. Because we still have to remember that there's one out there that they need to defeat in the Spade Kingdom. And that's why they're trying to get all ready and stuff. But if they're fighting amongst themselves, then, well, we really can't hope to defeat it. They need to prepare, not get all fighting against each other. That doesn't help. So, I'm hoping that Asta and everybody else can really come past this and just everything can go back to being normal and they can just get ready to fight the devil in the Spade Kingdom. Because if they don't, then something even worse is going to happen than what happened in season 2. I mean, a lot of people will die, more people than what they can handle, and it will be all their own fault for fighting instead of working together. Really makes me angry when this kind of stuff happens in a show, when they should be really focused on stuff that's important. Instead, they're focused on something that is only said to be what they need to focus on because of lies that didn't even need to be said in the first place. This government in the series is kind of corrupt and annoying. But that is no reason to not watch the series. I'm just stating my opinion. I really love Black Clover, and I hope you'll try it along with Promised Neverland. Now, it is about time for our second commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about another wonderful anime called Fire Force. It also comes on Toonami on Cartoon Network, and it is really good. I'm excited to talk about it. But until then, I hope you enjoy the commercials, and I'll see you later.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hello and welcome back to the GSMC Television Podcast. I am your host, Jennifer. Before the break, we were discussing Black Clover and The Promised Neverland. Now we will talk about another great anime called Fire Force. This anime is illustrated and written by Atsushi Okibo. This series is about a kid named Shiro, and he is a third-generation pyrokinetic youth who gained the nickname Devil's Footprints for his ability to ignite his feet at will. He joins Special Fire Force Company 8, which features other pyrokinetics who dedicate themselves to ending the Inferno's attacks for good while investigating Company 1 through 7 for potential corruption in their ranks. Shira begins to learn that his younger brother's abduction during the fire that killed his mother 12 years ago is caused by a mysterious doomsday cult that is behind the infernal attacks. Company 8 and their allies oppose the white-clad and the rest of the members of this organization, which sometimes is basically just called the Evangelists. And they seek certain individuals like Shiro and his brother to enact a scheme to repeat the Great Cataclysm or Devastation, which basically turned everything that all the humans created into ash because the fire engulfed the world. It is way big series, and I like it a lot. The Great Disaster is an event that happened 250 years ago, 50 years before the solar year of 198, with the world mostly consumed in fire, many nations destroyed, and most of the planet rendered uninhabitable. The survivors took refuge in the Tokyo Empire, which remained mostly stable during the period despite losing some of the land mass. The Tokyo Emperor Raphael's I establishes the faith of the Holy Soul Temple, and the Hajime Industries developed the perpetual turmoil energy plant and Amaratus to power the country. In year 198 of Tokyo's solar era, special fire bridges called the Fire Force fight increasing indices of spontaneous human combustion, where humans begin their turn into living infernos called infernos, basically, while the infernos are first generation cases of spontaneous human combustion, with more powerful horn variations known as demons. Later generations possessing pyrokinetic while retaining human form, the Fire Force was formed in the hopes that basically they could help save the world and these people from these infernos. And it's a really good series, but it's sad because every time that people are fighting against these infernos are people that have gone up in flames thanks to the evangelists. They basically use these little insects and they put them on these innocent people and they turn into fire, and then our heroes of the Fire Force basically have to defeat them, but then they die and there's no saving them. Even though some of the members of the Fire Force, they pray and they're like nuns, it's really those people that were turned into infernos, they die, and that's sad. In the last episode, they discovered that the evangelists have created kind of like a bunch of labs that they put in the Never, which is like this underground area. So Company 8 and Company 2 are going to investigate the Never. They split up into groups, and when they go into the Never, they are instantly come across these infernos and they fight them, but they get outmatched, and when people die, there's this enemy that has the ability to turn corpses on other people. And this was really kind of sad. I mean, as they were being killed, these Fire Force people, they thought about what they were going to do when they got back from this mission. One thought about wanting to marry his girlfriend. Another one was like, I'll be here for the birth of our baby. And this other guy was like, well, I want to show everybody my wonderful sneakers. And I'm like, okay, dude, you don't need to have that be your main goal for when you come back, although none of them came back because they all got killed in this quick blink of an eye. And I was like, whoa, there's never been that easy to kill everyone. And wow, it was really sad. And then we start to focus on these other two members of Company 2 had these two members. And one member was named Hajiki, and he could see people even if there was like a building in front of him because he had really good eyesight. And another one, well, his name was Juggernaut, and he really is like a juggernaut. Even if he be cut apart into many times, he says it's because he has layers, but I think he has an ability that allows himself to regrow himself, or he's just like really hard to hit. So they were down in the Never with one of the members of Company 8. Her name is Kotatsu, and she is pretty cool. She has the ability to resist fire, plus she can also really fight well, and I really like her character. And so basically Hachiki was able to defeat all these different infernos because of his eyesight, and they thought that they could now investigate the rest of the Never, when all of a sudden this member of the Evangelists just comes out of nowhere and cuts off Hachiki's head. And now he's dead. And so basically that leaves the girl to fight on her own, and she wasn't doing very well, even if she had the flame resistance against the Medusa Whip, which is what the enemy was using. So it was up to Juggernaut to come and save her. And he did a really good job of defending it, and I liked how in this episode we got to see some of his past. Apparently he was a bit of a wimp in the background. I mean, he was afraid of fire, but then Hachiki was like teaching him that he needed to come together against his fear and realize that he has the potential to be a really good fighter, and Hachiki kept on encouraging him. So now he wants to defend the girl and basically avenge Hachiki, even though he used to just want to be a potato farmer with his mom, and I thought that was really adorable, all the flashbacks and stuff. And meanwhile, we have the other members of Company 8 and Company 2 fighting against these corpses that have been created by the ones that got killed that I talked about earlier, because there's another member of the Evangelist that has the ability to control corpses. So it's all very scary and very bad, and we don't know if our Juggernaut's going to survive or if anybody in this particular situation is going to live, because these are good fighters, even though they're evil and vile. And, Fire Force is got a lot of different character development. I like these series because, I mean, our basically main character, Shiro, has to get past the fact that some people consider him more like a devil than a hero, but all he wants to do is try to be the hero that everybody else really looks up to. And we've got another member of Company 8 named Arthur, who kind of lives in his own fantasy world where he basically sees himself as King Arthur, there to defend everyone. And, he's just really more of a funny guy with a sword, and I like him, but he's delusional. Either way, I think that Juggernaut's going to be able to defeat this girl, but I don't know for certain, and I really hope he can, because I don't want to see Juggernaut die. He's been a fun character, even though he's really adorably sad and stuff about Hachiki dying, and I was surprised that Hachiki just died right off the bat like that, but in an anime, stuff like that happens. Like I said before last week, animes are not for children. They can be violent, they can be sad, and they can be downright, well, scary. You don't want to watch an anime unless you're willing to watch people that you get attached to, like, die. You know, I like the fact that Fire Force is kind of like basically you're watching the lives of someone who works as a firefighter. You gotta remember, firefighters put their lives on the line for us every single day when they go into work. They go into fire, or they try and put it out, and they try and save the civilians from fires that, well, sometimes were even set on purpose, which isn't helpful. Or they go against fires that are like in forest fires. But in this series, these fires are people that spontaneously combust, and that is fighting against people that they can't really save because they are already dead. It's sad to think that even if they beat these creatures, they're really killing humans that can't be saved anymore, so it's not like they're committing murder. It's just that I wish that there was a way for them to really, like, get the infernos back to normal. That would make this really good, instead of every time that they defeat an inferno, that inferno and the person that once was that person are, like, they're dead. It's just sad. I would hate to live in this world. I mean, living in any anime would be difficult, but This kind of an anime seems like your life is in jeopardy every single day. And not from people who have guns or something. No, from just spontaneously turning into fire and then being just destroyed so that other people can live. But what kind of a life are they having if all that happens to them is living, eating, and maybe chance of turning into fire the next day? So, wow. Anyway, we've got to watch and find out if they survive their journey into the Never. I hope that they do, but right now, not many people have survived. I mean, one squad member is all that's left of one group. He ran off trying to find the rest of his Company 8 members. Other people are fighting against the corpses that are left behind, and now Juggernaut is trying to defend the girl from this crazy night lady, and I just don't know if he's gonna survive. I really hope he does, because he's like a big, lovable teddy bear at times, and he's really tough, but he's a country boy, so it's understandable that he doesn't think he can do it, when all he really needs is just the confidence. And he's really a good character, and I like him, and I hope that he survives, and I hope that they can meet up with the rest of the group and fight the Evangelist, but so far, everything is turning out bad. It's like they never should have even gone into the Never, because no one is going to come out of this alive, because, well, the Evangelists were, like, prepared for this. Well, that's understandable, because the crew kind of went into their territory. They were trying to find their labs, but that just means that they're no longer on their home turfs. They're on the Evangelist home turfs, which gives the Evangelist home advantage. So, I don't think that this could possibly get any worse for our characters. But what do I know? I have yet to see the next episode, and frankly, I don't know how it's going to end, but I'm just hoping and guessing here that everything's going to turn out good. So, that is basically what happened on Fire Force. And I think that this was a good episode, but compared to the other two series that I was just talking about, well, Fire Force seems like it's having the most hopeless situation, and it feels like no one's going to come out of this alive unless luck becomes to be on their side. Right now, they're at a disadvantage because they're split up. Ugh, it's like every horror movie. Do not split up, or else you all die. Which was kind of funny, because at the beginning, one of the characters was like saying, this is like, it feels like a zombie land, and then every one of the corpses started to come back to life and start fighting, and I thought that, like, he was right. It was like a zombie movie. But, either way, that is basically what we're going through, and I hope that you, watch Fire Force as a result of what I just told you. Now, it is about time for our third and final commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about our final anime series called Attack on Titans. And regrettably, Attack on Titan is having its final season, and it's been a good series so far, but I don't want to see it end. But every good show has to come to an end eventually. I hope you all come back after the break. See you soon!
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Hello and welcome back to GSMC Television Podcasts. I'm your host, Jennifer. Earlier we were discussing 3 great animes, The Promised Neverland, Black Clover, and Fire Force. Now we will be discussing our final anime called Attack on Titans, which is experiencing its last season. It was written and illustrated by Hajime Izayama. And it is a good anime. I didn't think I'd like it that much, but I do. It is set in a world where humanity lives inside cities surrounded by 3 enormous walls that protect them from the giant man-eating humanoids, referred to as Titans. The story revolves around a boy named Eren Yeager who lives in a town of Shikanshima, located on the edge of Wall Marie, the outermost of 3 circular walls protecting humanity from the Titans. In the year 845, the wall is breached by 2 new types of Titans named the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan. During the incident, Eren's mother is eaten by a Titan. While Eren escapes, he swears revenge on all Titans and enlists in the military along with his childhood friends Mikasa, Arkman, and Airman Artlert. During their first battle, Eren learns that he is also able to turn himself into a Titan. Really? That is the truth. Basically, they find out later that Titans are actually humans that have been turned into Titans or can turn themselves into Titans willingly. And Titans are like really big. They're as big as a mountain or a building. They're huge. Which draws the attention of the Survey Corps, intending to use his newfound power to reclaim Wall Marie. As the battle against the Titans intensifies, Eren and his companions fight to defend their land while uncovering the mysteries about the Titans, their own civilization, and what lies beyond the walls. Eventually, Eren and those in the military alongside him discover they are not the only humans left alive. They are part of a race called Eldians, exiled to the walls for crimes against Marlians, another race. After discovering this, Eren and his fellow comrades, they go to the town where the Marlians are and start trying to fight back, get revenge for what they did. Because if it wasn't for the Marlians enlisting these Titans, then his mother would still be alive. So, in a way, he has every right to want to fight back, but 2 wrongs do not make a right, in my opinion. So, basically, that is where we are at right now with the Marlians versus the Eldians. Now, recently, one of my favorite characters was killed. She was an awesome character throughout the series. Her name was Sasha. I liked her appetite. She always loved to eat food, and she was always so optimistic and go-lucky. But she was killed by this little girl who was a Marlian, and she had escaped onto this airship. You see, when they were attacking the place where the little girl lived, she got onto their airship as they were leaving and killed Sasha. Now, her and her friend had escaped where they are being held, and ironically, they ran into Sasha's family as they were mourning. Now, Sasha's family doesn't know it's her, so they take the little girl and the boy to eat with another member of the Marlians, who they have got captured as basically a prisoner of war, and he's supposed to be a chef and a good guy. Also, he had a thing for Sasha. So, he's serving them food, and of course, Sasha's little sister had told the girl that she thinks that if she asks this Marlian guy, whose name is Niccolo, and, well, he's really sweet guy. At first, when he came to the Eldian place, he was like thinking that all Eldians were evil and diabolical, calling them the Eldian devils like everybody else. But Sasha changed that. She gave him a reason to live. She really liked his cooking, and she told him that he should be a chef instead of a military slave, basically. Well, that is the reason why her death kind of hit him really hard, which is understandable. So when the little girl goes to talk to him and she tells Niccolo that she was the one who killed Sasha, he gets so mad that he tries to hit her over the head with this wine that he had taken away from some of the other members of the Scouts that were just about to drink it. And, well, her friend kind of got in the way and got himself hit in the process. And so because of that, he had the chance to kind of grab the little girl, and he brought her and the little boy in front of the family saying that this is the girl who killed your daughter. Now, you have the chance to seek revenge for Sasha by killing her. I would do it if you don't have the stomach for it, but it's your call since you're the dad. So the Scouts see this, and they're all like, you need to stop this. Put the knife down. The little girl doesn't deserve to die. 2 wrongs don't make a right is not what they said, but I was thinking that in the back of my mind. Either way, it was an intense moment, and I didn't think it would end well, but instead of acting in revenge, the father just put the knife down, and they started to want to help the little boy who got a big injury on his head because of the wine. It was very honorable of the father to not act in anger. He even said that war should be something for adults, not children. Sasha was his little girl, and she used to always be very good as a marksman. And then when she joined the military, she went into a bigger forest, as he put it, because, like, war is like a forest. You have to kill or be killed. And she got killed because she stayed in that forest for far too long. So, that was really cool. Then, Niccolo tells us that the reason why he took the wine away from the other Scouts is because it has Zeke's spinal fluids inside of it, which, if you drink it, you're supposedly going to turn into a Titan, and then you'd start rampaging and stuff. And that means that the reason why they were wanting to give the wine to special military higher-ups is because they wanted them to turn into mindless Titans. And now they've uncovered this conspiracy. So first they need to wash out the wine from the little boy because it probably got into him when he got hit over the head. And then all of a sudden, these other members of the military, apparently, they're on the evil side. They allowed the higher-up members to drink it. I still don't know why, because they kind of ended with that kind of part. And it also ended with Eren approaching Mika-san and his old friend, basically trying to tell them he wants to talk. And I don't know what he would want to talk about, but Armin and Mika-san are suspicious, and I'm suspicious. And they also have the little girl with them. And she's just shocked that she even was saved from the little sister. See, after she had told everyone that she was the one who killed Sasha, the little sister tried to kill her because her dad wouldn't. But Mika-san saved her. And I was shocked beyond belief that Mika-san did that because she was also really good friends with Sasha. So, that basically was it for the episode, with a cliffhanger ending. And I liked it. It was a good episode, really intense stuff, and there's a lot of other stuff in the background that, if you want to find out what they were, you gotta watch it. Basically, I was more interested in the stuff that was happening with Sasha's family, because ever since Sasha got killed, I've been kind of sad about what's gonna happen next, because as I said before, she was always my favorite character. Right from the first moment we met her, when she loved to eat and she would take some food from the pantry just so that she could have it. She was always really good about that. She was a great character and will be well missed. Why couldn't they have killed somebody else in the series? Oh well. It's a war series. I do not expect many people that I like to live. But, either way, predictions for next week's episode, Aaron seems like he's gone off the deep end, so something bad is going to happen in next week's episode. I know that. And I'm pretty sure that the little girl's not going to live long if she keeps on acting the way she does. She wants to destroy all of the people that are around her because they're not Marlians. Instead, they are, in her eyes, Eldian devils. And they really aren't. And it just shows how much corruption this whole ideal has had on everyone. And it's not right. I don't like it when the military basically uses its facades to pin people against each other. They shouldn't even be fighting. If they're like the last bits of humanity, shouldn't they be working together? It's like whenever I watch The Walking Dead. We're up against zombies, and yet we're also fighting each other. That seems very pointless to me. I think that humanity should come together against creatures that are hurting them, and if they discover something cool like the ability to turn into giant monsters, maybe use that to the advantage instead of using it to kill each other and fight each other like idiots. Who's the real monster? The people who do stuff like that, or the ones who created the ability in the first place? It's all just wow. Anyway, I like Attack on Titans, and I hope this stuff turns out better as the series progresses. I don't know how it's going to end, and I'm okay with that. I want to know what happens by watching it, not by reading ahead. You could always read ahead with animes because all you have to do is just read the manga. Although some animes don't exactly follow the manga, sometimes they drift off a little bit on their own, but they're really good. Anyway, I recommend all of the animes I have talked about today. I recommend Attack on Titans, Black Clover, Fire Force, and I recommend The Promised Neverland. I hope that you all watch them. They come on Cartoon Network, Toonami, every Saturday night. And they're good series. I think that my favorite one would have to be... The Promised Neverland's really good, but I think Black Clover is the best one. I also really like The Promised Neverland and other stuff, and I have other animes I really like, but those were the ones I wanted to talk about this week. So, that is basically it for this week's show. I think that next week I'm going to go back and watch Real People stuff. I, for one, really want to discuss the final episode of Wynonna Earp, which is this great show about combating demons, and it's also got some Western elements. I also want to talk about this other series, which is called Van Helsing, about vampires basically taking over the world, and it's also going through its last season. Legacies is another great series I want to discuss, and the final thing, I'm trying to watch a new Netflix series. Well, it's kind of old Netflix series, and since Wynonna and Van Helsing I started watching because I was watching Netflix, I think that this will be a good one to watch. It's called From Dusk Till Dawn, based off of the movie by that same title. So, that's what we'll talk about next week, From Dusk Till Dawn. Wynonna Earp's last episode, the first episode of the new season of Van Helsing, and the newest episode of Legacies, which are all really great series, and I can't wait to discuss them. Until then, I hope you all remember to watch these podcasts every Friday. There's also some other really great podcasts on the GSMC podcast network, and they all work really hard. That is all the hosts do. And I hope that you'll enjoy them, because support is always welcome. And how you support is by liking and subscribing to every one of the podcasts that you are interested in. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Remember to wear your mask and keep 6 feet in distance away from each other. Get vaccinated so we can all get through COVID-19 safely and alive. Until then, I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Television Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.